I didn't necessarily have an issue with the mystery. It brought the two characters together, and that was needed as well. What is it exactly that you had an issue? Like you said, okay, even though it had nothing to do with their story, but does it need to though? Because now they're in a whole completely different situation. You know what I'm saying? They're in a,
It would be a better movie if it did.
I see.
So for example, like one idea is, and I'm not necessarily rewriting the movie just quite yet, but for example, what if the gorge itself was never explained? We see the monsters coming out and we get some action sequences, where they shoot the monsters and whatever, and and then where they replenish like the mines or the drones or whatever, right? It's all fine. But what if they realized about halfway into the movie, so they never cross the gorge, they never go for the awkward date or anything like that. They just have this romance and they kind of have this plan to meet up once their year is up. So for the first time in a long time, they're looking forward to something, which is life after the gorge. And then they find out that anybody who rotates out from that post gets killed in order to maintain the secret. Now what do you do? That would be a much better story, for example, and it would tie together with this whole thing of letting somebody in and making yourself vulnerable. And now it's not just them, but it's actually the two of them. So if one of them gets hurt, it impacts the other one, right?
And that could
And
low.
now they would have to plan like their escape for how to dupe their handlers into not killing them so that they can then reunite. And then them meeting in person for the first time should have been the final shot of the movie. That would have been an ending where the entire movie hangs together in a way where it's a continuous story that is about something, and where the ending of it has something to do with the beginning, and where characters have to overcome obstacles to get from one end to the other. And here they don't really, right? We have this romance, which I think is quirky and charming and fun and everything, but there's not much to it in terms of plot, right? And then the plot happens, which is we have to shoot our way out of the gorge. And we get some exposition about where the gorge comes from, and how these plant zombies were created. And those two things I don't think have anything to do with each other. And if they did, if the two different halves of the movie did in fact have something to do with each other, it would be a better movie.
I see what you're saying, and I do. You know what would have been kind of cool as well is if when they find out that obviously they're going to be killed at the end of the year, it could have been a thing where they're forced to enter the gorge due to obviously the people that are trying to kill them from above the gorge, if that makes sense. So they could have ended up first meeting in the gorge. It could have kind of like not ended there, but near the end where they first end up meeting in the gorge, because that obviously they're in the situation where they closed off, so they kind of have to kind of like jump in, and then they could have revealed a bit more about what's going on in the gorge. So I do agree. Like I think we agree that. Well,
Or going into the gorge is the only way they can be together, and it kills them.
true,
But at least they die together.
true, but that makes it depressing as hell. And to be fair,
Sure, but it would
it
be
was
cool, and people would have
yeah,
talked about it.